thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Nick, I need to ask, what is with the monk attire? Monk attire?
That's right.
That does not have much to do with your character.
It wasn't my idea. Monks have been wearing this garb for centuries. It's not. I'm in the show as the American ambassador to England,
Yes.
but I came here today straight from my brewery, where we just have a batch coming out and things are running a little late. So sorry about the hops smell.
Who's your favorite monk?
Thelonious.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Easy.
Yeah. It's Thelonious and then maybe Art Monk.
Yes, and then Tony Shalhoub.
Now, tell me a little bit about each of your characters, American Ambassador and Gabriel and Anathema. They don't really intersect much.
No,
Not really at all.
No.
I think I didn't work with Nick at all.
me neither.
And that was in my contract. And then I worked with Adria only on one day. We're sort of toward the end of the thing where we were all of us were together. Again, except Nick, again, because it was in my contract. But this is the world that Good Omens takes place in. There's a lot of moving parts.
Absolutely.
And we represent three very disparate
Yeah.
parts that move.
Well, let's start with Gabriel. I mean, what's he doing there? He seems
Gabriel-
kind of psyched for the apocalypse.
Well,
almost.
it's kind of his job to make it happen. Gabriel is an executive in the sort of worst way that you can describe that kind of person. He's doesn't really have any idea how the world works, but he's very good at giving orders. They just don't really make sense in the real world. So it's up to Aziraphale and Curly to sort of figure out how to keep both of their bosses happy while also kind of not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so my guy is the boss that you hate because he kind of constantly tells you you're doing a terrible job, but is smiling and patting you on the back at the same time.
And Anathema? But tell me about her.
Anathema. She is a descendant of Agnes Nutter and has kind of trained her whole life for this big moment. And she holds basically all the clues to get to the end of the world. It's like she gives you a very specific yet very general description of what may or may not happen. And Anathema's job is to kind of navigate through that and discover how to get to each and every single prophecy.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Nick, we don't see your character right away in the flesh.
That's a generous thing to say.
But tell me a little bit about who is this guy? What's he all about?
Well, it's a fun supporting role. There are a few young children in the program, one of whom may or may not be a supernatural spawn of hell. I am the parent of one of these young people, rather hapless American representing in England. I never saw you guys at work as well because I shot entirely in South Africa, which
So you got way more miles.
I got way more miles and a slightly better cut of wine.
Oh, sure.
I suppose.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agree with that.
But yeah, I honestly, I was just trying to get to hang out with Neil for a few days.
Yeah. Was it a normal casting process for you all? Was there anything unusual about how you obtained these roles? I know your role wasn't even in the book.
Mine wasn't in the book, so it was sort of obliquely referenced in the book,
Yeah.
but only in passing. Neil I had the good fortune to run into Neil at a sort of social engagement a few years back, and we became friends, and over the years would keep seeing each other at various and sundry meet and greets and whatnots, and it was really, I really enjoyed hanging out with him and talking to him. And I guess the feeling was mutual because he said, he said, I'm adapting this book. Have you read it? I said, yeah, I have. And I really like it. He said, well, would you ever want to be a part of it? I said, yep. And he goes, okay, well, there might be a thing. It's not really in the book, but I'm fleshing out. I was like, don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm in. I'm on board.
Nick, I think I read somewhere that you got casted after sending a text message.
Well, I actually know a little more about Jon's casting that you apparently aren't aware of. When they cast Michael and David as Aziraphale and Crowley, they were very careful to try and balance the sexuality of the angel and the demon. It was important to Neil and Amazon that neither side came out ahead. And it seemed like we were good, but once they put David in the sort of sexy demon clothes, he sort of edged ahead. And there was a whole set of meetings where Amazon contacted Neil and said, we need to strap something on the front of this thing to bring the angel side back into the lead. And Neil apparently said, what about Jon Hamm? I could write a character. We could have him jogging in a park, say. And they said, great, sounds good. So they did that. Thankfully, Jon was available. They went ahead
Thankfully, I could jog.
He could jog. That wasn't post that you
No,
did?
no,
That was
I
you?
did that on the day.
It looks great.
Thanks, yeah.
Very symmetrical. And so they did that, they shot it, then they tested that, and as you can imagine, Jon put them too far in the lead, and they said, we need to somehow leaven the effect of Jon's virility. So then they said, what about a dash of Nick Offerman? And they came over with just a couple scenes. So it was just at the tail end of things. They brought me in. And apparently, you know, I made the cut.
You're the spice that makes the soup. That's what I'll say.
So yeah, I mean, I had the dumb luck of, you know, they needed it. I just have a few scenes in the show, and because Neil was able to just ask me, it was one of those hilariously pleasant personal correspondences that says, how would you feel about coming to South Africa for a week? And I'll write you some difficult sentences. And I said, great, let's do it.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I cannot wait to see the rest of Good Omens. It looks great so far.
Please enjoy.
Yeah, thank you.